Hey, I'm golf broadcaster Matt Adams. The updated and expanded second edition of my book, The Golf Round I'll Never Forget, Golf's Biggest Stars Recall Their Finest Moments, is now available. Readers can expect to march with Arnie's Army at the 1960 U.S. Open, relive Jack Nicklaus's remarkable 1986 Masters win, and be amazed by the Tiger Slam. The Golf Round I'll Never Forget, Golf's Biggest Stars Recall Their Finest Moments. Pick it up where fine books are sold, including BarnesandNoble.com and Amazon.com.
This day in sports history. It's April 18th, and on this day, over a span of years, we had two monumental Game 7s and two monumental breakthroughs in the color barrier. Let's start in 1962, and on this day, the Boston Celtics and Los Angeles Lakers were locked into a Game 7 for the NBA title. The Celtics were attempting to win their fourth straight NBA crown, which would top the record of three consecutive won by the Minneapolis Lakers from 1952 through 54. And of course, the Lakers were hoping to keep their franchise mark in place and begin a streak of their own. This game was held at the old Boston Garden, and it was packed to the rafters with nearly 14,000 fans. Now, the Celtics were fortunate to even be playing this game. The Lakers nearly wrapped it up in Game 6, but they gave up an early lead, collapsed, and Boston took advantage in LA to win by 14. Game 7 followed a similar script, only in reverse. It was the Celtics who had the early lead and then faltered, giving the Lakers an opportunity to fight back in the fourth quarter. Elgin Baylor and Jerry West powered the comeback, combining for 76 points in the game, but it was LA's Frank Selvey hitting a couple of buckets in the final minute to tie the game at 100. With 5 seconds left in regulation, Selvey actually had a 12-footer to win the game and the championship, but the shot was off the mark and the game went to overtime. In the OT, Bill Russell took over and imposed his will on LA as Boston took a 7-point lead. It was too much for the Lakers to overcome this time, and the Celtics won 110-107. Russell scored 30 and pulled down 44 rebounds as Boston won their fourth of what would become 8 straight NBA championships. So Bill Russell, the player, became Bill Russell, the player-coach on this day in 1966. Well, he didn't officially start on this day, but Boston Celtics coach Red Auerbach made the announcement that he was retiring from coaching and he would concentrate on being the GM, and that Russell would be the coach for the 66-67 season. This took place the day after the LA Lakers had beaten the Celtics in Game 1 of the NBA Finals, and it was monumental since there had never been a black coach in the NBA. In the defunct ABL, the Cleveland Pipers had hired John McClendon 4 years earlier as their coach, becoming the first black head coach in the pros. But Russell broke the color barrier in the NBA. Lakers coach Fred Schaus was not happy with the announcement. He thought it took the attention away from his team's 133-129 OT win in Game 1. The Celtics would once again win the series and the NBA title in a thrilling Game 7. The Lakers would have to wait another 6 years before they would win their first championship in LA. Russell was a player-coach for 3 seasons, becoming the first black coach to win an NBA championship in 1968. And he followed that up with another one in '69 for 10 titles in 11 years. So from that monumental moment to the other monumental moment on this day in 1946, a year before breaking the color barrier with the Brooklyn Dodgers in Major League Baseball, Jackie Robinson made his debut in Montreal in minor league baseball. And as I talked about on the 15th, the Dodgers' Branch Rickey had signed Robinson with the intention of making him the first black player in the majors, but the league, the country, and Jackie weren't ready just yet, so he assigned him to Montreal for a season. And on this day, Jackie belted a homer and sprayed 3 more hits in his debut with the Royals, becoming the first black man to ever play in the International League, also the first black man to play in the 20th century in professional baseball outside of the Negro Leagues. And now we head back to another monumental Game 7 that happened on this day in 1942. It was Toronto and Detroit in this battle for the Stanley Cup. And really, this series should have been over days before. The Red Wings won the first 3 games of the series and had a 2-goal lead in Game 4, but ended up losing 4-3 after penalties, fights, and a near riot that ended up with fines and Wings coach Jack Adams suspended for Game 5. Toronto won Games 5 and 6 as well to even the series at 3 games apiece and set up this game on this day. More than 16,000 people packed into Maple Leaf Gardens for the decisive game. The 16,000 was the most to ever watch a game in Canada at the time. It was Dave Schreiner scoring a pair of goals in the third period as the Leafs scored all 3 of their goals in the third to beat Detroit 3-1 and win the Cup after trailing 3-0 in the series. Toronto was the first team to ever rebound from a 3-0 series deficit to win a Stanley Cup. In 1974, the ABA's Utah Stars selected Moses Malone in the 3rd round of the ABA draft. Why is that significant, you may ask? Well, Moses became the first player to ever go directly from high school to the pros. As a rookie, he was named to the ABA All-Star team and the All-Rookie team. He averaged 22 points and 17 rebounds in a playoff series against Denver. After the Stars folded in the 75 season, he went to St. Louis. After that, he went to the NBA and played for another 19 years until he retired in 1995. Having won 3 league MVPs and being named as one of the top 50 players in the first 50 years of the league. And speaking of longevity, on this day in 2001, the NBA's Iron Man, AC Green, played his final game, ending his NBA record consecutive game streak at 1,192. The last time he had missed a game was 15 years earlier in the '86 NBA Finals due to an injury. And time now for today's non-sports Did You Know? Did you know that Mount Everest is not really the tallest mountain on Earth? It's the highest peak in the world, but Hawaii's twin volcanoes of Mauna Kea and Mauna Loa are taller. But since more than 2.5 miles of their base is submerged underwater, it's not the highest peak. They measure a little over 6 miles in height from underwater base to peak, which is more than 2 times that of Everest. That's all for today. I'll have more tomorrow on This Day in Sports History. This has been an original Thrive Suite production.
Hey there, sports history fan. This is Arnie Chapman, a.k.a. the Football History Dude, and I hope that you enjoyed this recent episode presented by the Sports History Network and were able to learn some good old-fashioned sports history knowledge nuggets. I started the Sports History Network back in 2020 with the mission to help podcasters find a community of like-minded sports history nerds, as well as helping aspiring podcasters to start their own shows. We have a little bit over 30 shows on the network right now covering all sorts of sports history, but as far as I'm concerned, we're just at the toothpick in the ocean moment, that can't even figure it out because there's so much more coming. We wanted to create the ultimate headquarters for sports yesteryear, starting with Podcast Network and our website, but we're going to continue to move into other mediums as well. And here's the cool part, because we want you to be part of our team. So if you're interested in starting your own podcast, or maybe being a guest on one of our shows, or who knows, maybe even writing an article for us over on the website. Seriously, all you gotta do is reach out to us on the contact page over at sportshistorynetwork.com. You can be as technologically savvy as a Neanderthal tapping on a stone trying to figure out this whole hieroglyphics thing back in the day. Again, it doesn't matter, because even if you don't understand the whole podcast space, we have a production team that can pretty much help you out with doing everything. All you gotta do, head over to sportshistorynetwork.com, head to the contact page, fill it out. That message goes right to me, and I'll reach out to you as soon as I can. But for now, dude, I'm through if you're through.